You're listening to a podcast from the Finnish Football Show. Yes, it's the Finnish Football Show. Listener, you're joining us for a Christmas special. This was suggested by one of my co-hosts today, so I'm going to let him explain what this is all about. But I'm joined by Ali Manson, as often. Ali, how are you doing?
I'm good, yeah. Hoover Yolaway, everyone.
Yeah, and Rasmus Junila. Rade, how are you?
Hi, I'm fine and absolutely delighted to see you. You look like an absolute sausage.
Well, it's a Christmas show. I bought this for one or two pikkujoulut, and I thought I'd get one more wear out of it. And I didn't realize how irritating it would be to have a bell on the end. Have a bell on my end. Um, but there I have. It was ringing, and it stays on until my face gets too hot, and then it's coming off. But Ali, this was all your idea, so why don't you explain to the listener what you've inspired for this episode?
Yeah, well, I think as we're coming to the end of the year, we're all feeling very reflective. And so I was sort of looking back at this year from a footballing point of view and thinking, what is my highlight of the year? What is my low light of the year from a Finnish footballing perspective? Uh, so I was thinking, hey, we should create a podcast about that. And I also thought the listeners might want to take 45 minutes away from the family to, I don't know, walk the dog or whatever they need to do, just get some fresh air and listen to our final podcast of the year.
Yeah, and I said to you that I often skip these yearly review shows where they're just playing highlights from the rest of the year because I've listened to that and I've got a whole playlist as long as my arm to work through. So this is not going to be us playing clips from the rest of the year because that would be far too much work for me to go through and find those clips. It's bad enough when we've recorded the show and I'm editing it and I have to try and find a particular phrase or a particular F-bomb and edit it out. That takes me enough time. Going back through the whole year, it's never going to happen. So we thought about one or two highlights and lowlights each for this year, and then reached out to sort of the wider Finnish football show community of our regular, occasional contributors to ask them as well. And it kind of breaks down into three sections. One is Veikkausliiga. What the next one is from a couple of fans whose teams play outside the Veikkausliiga, and then a Huuhkajat section. And highlights and Huuhkajat in 2025. I think it's safe to say they don't go together exactly very well, do they? But should we talk about the Veikkausliiga first of all? And Ali, this was your idea, so why don't you lead us off?
Great. Well, I'm sure people can probably have a wild guess of what a low light could be. There's several to pick from if you're of the Huuhkajat persuasion for the 2025 season. So actually trying to pick a low light was quite difficult because
To limit it to just
trying to
one.
pick just one, yeah. So uh, off the top of my head, yeah, I could reel off four or five just immediately. But I have narrowed it down to one. If we're not going to accept the entire 2025 season for Huuhkajat was just one long low light, the particular one for me, I think, was losing the penalty shootouts to Arda in the, I think, second round of the Europa Conference League qualifying. Um, Arda were not a good footballing team. Not that they need to be any good to beat Huuhkajat at the moment, but they were really not great. And I think just to lose on penalties at home when there's two away fans and when they scored that winning penalty, and you can really hear the players like screaming and yelling, out of delight. Their players, of course. Like that's a weird feeling, I think, because it's on one hand it's silence, but then you can just about make out some yells from the other players and staff. And so I think that was quite a deflating moment because Huuhkajat have been quite lucky the last three or the previous three seasons of qualifying for Europe, and they are always highlights those games. So being denied that, I think, was a particular low light.
When was that?
July at some point, or
Hmm.
maybe early August. Um, yeah, it was before things got really bad as well. So I
Yeah.
think it
What?
was maybe just a sign of things to come.
Yeah, it wasn't the first round though. You
No.
made it through. You made it through a couple of rounds, didn't you?
Yeah.
So yeah, a bit bittersweet and ending there. Though you have a couple of okay home matches as well in Europe, but yeah,
Wow, a couple of okay home matches in Europe. I mean, it's not where Hoyuko wants to be, is it?
No, not when you spend the money that they spend and have the experienced players that they have as well. But yeah,
but trust me, they deserve it.
yeah, yeah. I can hear all the sympathetic listeners. Yeah, really, their hearts are bleeding for me and for Hoyok fans. I'm sure. But yeah, I mean, I picked that low light, but to be honest, there were, yeah, as I said, there were several. There were just so many last minute goals that were conceded. Ashik, Gnistan, Yaro. I mean, the Arda game that I just mentioned, that was a 86th, 87th minute equalizer that then took it straight to penalties as well. So yeah,
So,
that whole that whole footballing year for Hoyokor was pretty much a low light, I think.
what about a highlight then?
A highlight. Well, uh, personally, I do have two, and I'm going to cheat. First
Go
of
on.
all, I'm going to say that the team that I play for, Ponistus, we got promoted from Vitonen to Netherlands. So come on, lads.
This should have been in our not lower
Yeah, it
divisions,
really should. Yeah,
non-Vegas
you're
League
right. Yeah,
section.
I should have saved it for them, but I wanted to make sure I got it in. Yeah, nice and early. So yeah, I mean, I'm at the ripe old age of 34, so any kind of promotion in a footballing sense, I'm gonna milk that for sure. So yeah, I would either say, from a personal level, that there is one highlight from a Hoyokor perspective, and it was a goal. Uh, it was by Brooklyn Lyons-Foster, who predominantly plays as a wing back. He scored one of the best goals I've ever seen. It was a game against Ivko Mariehamn, which finished, I think, 8-2 in the
Wow,
end.
yeah.
Yeah, Mariehamn went down to 10 men after, I think, 10 minutes, or it was 15 minutes. It was very early on in the game. Hoyokor were already winning, but I remember as soon as that red card happened, it was like, well, even Hoyokor can't fudge this up. But yeah, back to that goal. It was from a corner, and he did a like back heel flick um, from one from the near post, and it ended up at the back post. If you know the goal that I'm talking about, I'm sure people will agree that it was quite a special goal. If you don't know what I'm talking about, do Google it. I think this game was in August, and I had a really good view of it as well because yeah, that game for whatever reason, I was in one of the executive boxes, rubbing shoulders with Teemu Pukki, who wasn't playing in that game from memory. Well, obviously he wasn't because he he was in the director's box. So I had a really good view of it. Um, and yeah, it was just one of those goals where you go, "Oh wow, I don't think I've seen that live before." And yeah, just the way the fans celebrated it, even though, of course, the goal didn't mean anything because I think it was already 6-1 at this point, or it might have even been the eighth goal. So it definitely, yeah. If I had to pick a highlight that isn't just winning a game rather than an actual moment, I'm going to pick that goal from Brooklyn, who has extended his contract for a year, which, yeah, I'm pretty happy about because I think this season was his best year.
So while you were hobnobbing in the director's box or wherever it was, hospitality lounge, did you get many people coming up and saying, "Are you Ali from the Finnish football show?"
I think people were more interested in asking Pulki when he was going to play again, to be honest. Because yeah, he was out injured, and I think it was just before an international break. So people were wondering, is he going to be fit enough for the national team as well? But yeah, it does happen. I did have someone approach me at one of the home games this year, which was really nice. So yeah, every now and again, it does happen, but I can't quite compete with Pookie, unfortunately.
No, okay, that's fair. Fair enough. Um, Rasmus, what about you? Your highlight maybe came in Europe this year.
Yes, the highlight was in Europe, and luckily for Ilves, the second season in summer in a row when we got to face like real good level European opponents, very famous clubs with decent turnouts for the away fans. So the new, still quite new Tammela Stadium, which opened last year, has seen some real crackers in Europe as well, and the amazing statistic still being that no side has lost an European match in Tammela, in the new stadium. So neither Ilves, Helmarit, Pikkuhuuhkajat, or now Kups playing their European matches
So
at
no home
Tammela.
side has lost there.
No, no,
Okay.
no home side. And tomorrow it's the final match of the year at the stadium. I would guess so when Kups plays the Swiss side Lausanne at Tammela. So I'm gonna be there to witness that one as well. But yeah, Ilves produced a really good one this summer, hosting AC Alkmaar in the Conference League playoffs, having been granted the place in the Europa League playoffs earlier, and got absolutely spanked by Shakhtar Donetsk 6-0 in the away leg, which was played. God, I don't even know where. I think somewhere in Slovakia or Slovenia, maybe. But yeah, that was 6-0 for Shakhtar, and we kept a 0-0 draw in the second leg at home, so we kept the statistic intact there, and then went to the Conference League and faced AC Alkmaar at home
And
in the
Alkmaar is
first.
a big club with a tradition in Europe, isn't it?
Yes, they have some tradition in Europe, and having done decently well in the last few years. The now Liverpool manager Arne Slot was there not too long ago. They were almost under him winning the Eredivisie in Holland when the season was cut by the COVID and the lockdown. So they didn't get the chance to win the league then. But yeah, they're a very good European side, and one face familiar from the Premier League or elsewhere. The Irish striker Troy Parrott, he was a nuisance for Ilves's defense. No surprise there, but somehow we managed to win the match in the home leg, and I think even we led by 2 goals and conceded one right at the death in the first leg. So maybe the 2 goal advantage would have helped us a bit in the second leg, which was a clear win for the Dutch side, obviously. But yeah, great night in Tammela. It was one of those nights I thought to myself, why the hell is Roope starting this match? Because he's a very good finisher, and in and around the box he can sense the chances, and he's good in his movement, but he isn't fast, he isn't strong, he isn't particularly silky with the ball at his feet, but uh, sometimes you wonder what does he bring to the team other than the obviously high class finishing. I would have wanted to see the I think he's from Nigeria. Forgive me if I'm wrong. Adeleke Akinyemi. I would have wanted to see him in the starting lineup because of his physical prowess and the way he can cause defenders problems by just running and fighting. He's one of those lads who has those things at a high, close to international level. So I was a bit surprised why Roberiski was selected to start the match, but one long ball over the top and he got one-on-one against the keeper, and at that point you can already spread your hands and going off to celebrations because you just know he's not going to miss those types of chances. And in the end, did we score four against them? I had quite a few beers that night, so
You want us to check the score for you? Get the apps out now. Um, it's Yeah, I mean, I think when you don't, or when you haven't had it so often to get a big European night and then to win in Europe,
yeah,
it
four
sticks in the
three,
memory.
yeah,
Yeah,
4-3 at home.
it's it's reminiscent of um, Ashikor beating, was it Flora Tallinn a few years ago, and Jake Jervis scored a second half hat trick. And he was decent for us, a bit inconsistent, but you score a hat trick in Europe, in your club's one and only so far victory in Europe. Your name's going on the wall for forevermore. And I'm wearing a Wimbledon shirt today because, well, not because, but coincidentally, Jake Jervis played for AFC Wimbledon, and they have the complete opposite opinion. He's on the different kind of list. Let's put it that way among the Wimbledon fans. So, yeah, those things stick in the mind for sure. Um,
Yeah.
Rasmus, what was the opposite of your highlight then this year?
I think we already spoke about this the last time I was on here, and this one is a sweet one for you, Mark. But yeah, it has to be in from an Ilves point of view, the penultimate round of Veikkausliiga this season. It's not even that long ago, but I've tried my best to forget it deeply. But yeah, Kasper Paananen equalizing for SJK against Ilves and taking the title literally away from Ilves, and us not having the chance to take it into the last round of the season. It could have been a different story. There was the whole fireworks scene at HJK's last home match against KuPS, who then already had confirmed their title, so that it didn't matter so much. But I wonder if the title were still in play by that point, what would have happened, and the game in Inter and Ilves playing against each other would have a whole lot more significance behind it as well. So the last round of the season would have been a whole lot better if you guys hadn't spoiled the party, Mark.
I'm pleased to have spoiled the party. We spoiled our own party by giving away too many silly goals during the during
Exactly.
the.
You had achieved fuck all by it. So
Well, but it made me and Jules and Satu and Topius shout very, very loudly. We scared the living daylights out of the dog. So, you have to take your small wins where you can.
And to be
Um,
honest, it's nice that Huuhkajat aren't the pantomime villains in this story, because I can guarantee if that goal hadn't gone in and it had gone to the final day, Rasmus, you would have been cursing Huuhkajat even more than you would normally do,
mm,
because they would
no,
not
I don't
they would
think
not have
so.
put up a
I
fight.
don't think so because I wouldn't have expected anything.
Yeah, you shouldn't have expected
Yeah,
anything.
yeah, just
Yeah,
it would have been the same as the year before. Yeah, then I
yeah,
would have known that not to expect almost anything. But yeah,
yeah.
I think that's a a great moment to hear from one of our contributors, because Jules, the other Asti Core fan that we hear from on the podcast, and my partner in crime with the Seinäjoki supporters podcast, he sent us a message, and he was the only one who actually sent a video message. So, with a bit of luck, you'll see Julian's face on the screen right about now.
Hi, I'm Jules, and I'm going to talk to you just for a minute or so about SJK's season. I'll try and keep it short because I know that Mark likes to talk about SJK on this podcast, and if you want to find out more, then you can always check us out on the Seinäjoki Football Supporters podcast. So our season started well. We won our first 4 games, so it was good, but then this is what really wrecked our season. From the 28th of April to the end of May, there were 7 games, we got 2 points. And that is what really wrecked our season. We kept conceding last-minute goals. Our defence was wrecked. At one time we had one first-choice defender out on the pitch. So that's the reason for it. Our defence, we had lots of injury problems, and we never really, we recovered from that, but we left ourselves with far too much to do. We finished 5th in the regular season, and we did well in the playoffs, whatever you want to call them, the Mestaruussarja, for the last 10 games. We got 18 points out of 30. And if you think that our nearest challengers, say Inter and Ilves, we beat them at home, we drew them with them away, you'd think that would be good enough to get us higher than where we finished. If you're beating those, it's like, what's what you want to do? You want to win your home games and draw your away games, but because we had left ourselves with too much to do, we did close the gap on them, but not by enough to change our final position, which was 4th, which in any other year would be good enough for a European place, but because Huuhkajat won the cup and they finished 5th, then not this year. So, but we had a good season, entertaining football, enjoyed it. I mean, the highlight, I suppose, is the 4-3, the last second goal against Huuhkajat away. We hardly ever win in Helsinki, so that was a great result. And there were good moments, but basically it was left ourselves with too much to do after the terrible May, where 2 points from 7 games. You're not going to come back from that. So, yeah. Onwards to next season.
Oh, and there you go. A great little plug there. He's getting quite professional with this, isn't he? Like he put a plug in for the other podcast, and he had a little dig at me. So that's always good. That's what mates are for. I have to agree with Jules. Like the football we watched this year was fun. We were competing all the way to the end. You know, you can see through the year the things that didn't work for us, giving away too many late goals, actually scoring a lot of late goals. So, you know, entertainment wise, that's part of it. And that period near the start of the season that Jules mentioned, that undid us. But then there's plenty of other games we missed out by not that many points in the end, especially in Europe. Like one more win and you're there. So it's really fine margins. I think my highlight happened just a week ago at the end of the season, which is when Kasper Parnanen had a clean sweep of the captain's gala. And, you know, he was the top scorer with an incredible return of 18 goals, sort of 4 ahead of the nearest competitor. So he won the is it a golden boot or a golden ball? He won that award anyway, and then was named the kind of which you would imagine you would be the top forward among the Veikkausliiga players. But then also this award for every game that Ruutu gives 1, 2, and 3 stars to players, and he picked up the most stars throughout the year as well. And it just kind of the icing on the cake for a really, really good season. And I'm pretty sure Casper will leave. He's under contract. Clubs will want him, and they'll have to pay for him, and that will do the club good. It will do Casper good because I think he's ready now. He went away at age 16 to Bologna, came back to SJK at 19, now 22. He's achieved what he's achieved. Go on, and the fan he goes with the blessing of all the SJK fans. Very different from the player that left us last year and went to Huuhkajat. I think that Casper will he'll do well where he goes, and he's become a friend over the last few years, and it's sad to see him and his girlfriend leaving, but that's football, and go off and do us proud.
Has there been any like concrete rumors or links for him about destination?
No, and the comment someone made the other day is that maybe the a big transfer comes around in the summer because that's when a lot of the big clubs have their buying and selling. That said, you don't need to spend that much money to get a player from Finland in January. If Ashiko were to get 250,000. I'm plucking numbers out of the air, but 250,000 and the sell-on clause for clubs even in the sort of second tier of leagues around Europe, that's not a lot of money.
No.
You know, for example,
Yeah.
in Netherlands or something like that.
I would ask you, Mark, about the lowlights of the year. Like in retrospect, I realize it's not been that long of a time to actually react to this, but would one of the lowlights be Mr. Grieve leaving the club quite recently? And is there like a sense of grief
We,
over him or uncertainty about the future with everyone's favorite Mr. Biss?
I think that is an entire episode of the Seinäjoki Football Supporters podcast. We'll start with that question. Yeah, I'm not surprised he's gone. I think even though he signed the new contract in summertime, um, the fans felt that the club was protecting its asset and that he would probably move on. The grieving is when people hear stories that the buyout clause was 10,000 euros. I mean,
That's how here in Finland in the good old famous Futis Forum. They say that we got a couple of packets of Saludo, which is a
yeah,
really
exactly.
cheap and efficient brand of coffee.
It's
So
right.
that's literally it. They just could have sent a shipment of Saludo
Yeah,
to you, and there you go, lads.
exactly. Yeah, exactly. That's how it feels. And I think at the moment, underwhelmed would be the feeling. I don't want to go too much into that because I think there's a lot of good looking forward to be done maybe in the new year when we get back together and see how things come together. But I have concerns about next year for Ashiko, about who's actually steering the ship.
Yeah, don't get me started on worries for Ilves
Yeah,
because
but let's start the next season with an episode. How worried are you for next season about your club? And we can all have a bit of a whine and a moan about it.
yeah.
I think the end of chaos football is what I'm sad about, and what I'm worried. Like we've got used to this. If you're having fun, you set the parameters of a young team, and you accept that they're going to make mistakes and they're not going to be consistent, but you have fun. And we scored so many goals this year, and we conceded so many goals, but there were lots of goals, and that's what football's about. So yeah, I'm disappointed, and maybe yeah, maybe we can maybe in the future some things we can talk about how he came to leave and things like that. But I've got a little show and tell for you lads. I think you'll like this. So um, just before Stevie left, he sent me a message and said that he'd left me something at the stadium.
Oh,
And
Oh,
not only that,
oh, that's lovely.
isn't
yeah.
it?
Top man,
Yeah.
top man.
And all I would say is that before he went, I thought that he would be, leaving some pretty big boots for the next man to fill. But having seen these, I'm not quite so sure now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
I could have filled those when I was 10.
exactly. But yeah, I've been in touch with him since he's left, and I really appreciate those. I'm gonna find a place to display one, and I'm gonna give one to Jules as well because I think that's neither of us can use them, so we might as well just have them on a plinth or on a shelf or something. But yeah, that was classy. I appreciated that. I think one my other highlight I'll save for when we get a little bit further down through the show. There was one other member from our contributors, Sebastian from VPS Vasa. And when I asked him for his highlights and lowlights, he sent us a Jose Mourinho gif, which just said, I prefer not to speak. He has nothing to say about Vepsu's season this year. But I'm sure we'll have him on again at the start of next season to see how he's feeling about
Yeah.
that one.
I could comment on that briefly. I think it was one of those types of seasons for Vepsu. I think it shouldn't be taken for granted though, because things can easily get a whole lot worse. Because if it doesn't get better for VPS, I think it might get worse next season. So they've done pretty well in the last few years to finish in decent positions many seasons, but this wasn't one of those. But they weren't still under any threat of relegation. It was literally mid-table, seventh or eighth, the whole damn season for Vepsu. So I can get Seba's sentiment there.
Yeah, like what is there actually to be excited about in that season? They did finish up actually 9th. Yeah, ninth. That's right. So anyway, we'll pick this up. The other thing I learned from my highlight of getting to know Sebastian this year is to also learn that he's another Wimbledon fan over in Finland. We got a nice little group now. There's about 4 or 5 of us over here now. Enough to fill a Ford Cortina to go to an away game, were we so inclined.
Or
Uh,
start a new podcast.
oh no, enough of the podcasts already. I got two hobby podcasts at one time is enough. I look forward to this time of the year where it all sort of slows down a little bit. I remember a year ago recording the Keke and being so tired on that pod, and it sounded like it, and I was stumbling over my words in the recording, and it was nice to just turn off the mic and think, okay, we'll give that a rest for 6 weeks or so. So this is this one, I think. Um, let's hear from a couple of other people whose teams are not in the Veikkausliiga. So we had Joe Parr, who supports Musan Salama. Joe was on the pod earlier this year explaining about one of his away days, how he came over to visit here, or how his latest visit here, but also how over the years he'd kind of connected with Musa. And then we'll hear from Seppo, our Lahti fan, because Lahti had a cracking season in the Huuhkajat.
Hi, Joe Parr here, just giving you a flavour of the lower leagues in Finland and my club, Musan Salama. It's been ultimately a productive year. Musi were promoted back into the Kärkinen last year and survived, winning topping the relegation phase group. At the end of the season, a bit of a mid-season dip in form, which resulted in a change of management. The highs from the season: 2 10-0 wins against Atlantis FC Academy. Probably says more about their season than Musa's, but always good to win 10-0. And then just a note of appreciation for Jussi Valila, who played his final game for Musa. A fantastic career over the years. Has been a real servant to football in Pori, playing for both Musa and FC Jazz. Thanks.
Great season overall. FC Lahti was promoted back to Veikkausliiga. Enjoyed the atmosphere in particular. The final match in Turku and the celebrations, really, really good. Also enjoyed quite a few matches in the lower leagues. The atmosphere in Bragu for Kurvin Vauhti and Ponnistus, really good stuff. I went to both tournaments in the summer, Switzerland with Helmarit and Slovakia for the under-21s. Excellent atmosphere again, and they made us proud, even though neither team made it to the playoff rounds. Lowlights, I'd say Huuhkajat. Atmosphere was good. I'm really, really happy with Pohjois-Kaare, but of course it was just horrible to watch the actual matches. So yeah, I think that is where there's the most room for improvement.
Okay, thanks, guys. Yeah, I think from Joe's perspective, 2 10-0 victories. Which 10-0 victory is the actual highlight of the year?
I saw quite few of those. I think I saw Musa getting beat 8 or 9-0.
They did. I remember Joe making comment, because it was a tough season. They were hovering around the relegation zone until quite near the end of that relegation series in that division. This is in the Kakkonen division. And then a week or two later, he was like, "Oh well, we've restored the goal difference with a 10-0 win." So, and I think, yeah, it's once you get down there, I guess you get some strange results and some real imbalances.
I think I can add to what whilst being on the topic of Kakkonen. I guess one of the highlights for me, at least professionally as a part-time commentator, was the how to say it, promotion finals between TPV and Ilves second team. So we had a derby in the promotion final, and it was an eventful season at that level as well. Kakkonen, which in Finnish means the number 2, being a bit deceitful because it's actually nowadays the 4th tier.
Right.
So it's all a bit difficult with the names and the systems, how the seasons are being played at what level. So it's a bit strange at times. But yeah, in the end, there was the promotion final between Ilves, the second team, and TPV, who actually got promoted. I think it's the first time in a few seasons that they are in Ykkönen, which obviously used to be the second tier. It's now the third tier. So TPV joins Tampere United for next season. So we at least have one real derby between 2 first teams in the city, and I'd imagine I get to commentate on that as well. So that was fun, following local football quite closely.
Yeah, nice to have those different teams at different levels to be able to follow in the same town. While you're talking about the naming of the divisions, then, because I don't think we've ever really got to the bottom of this. As a Finn, how do you feel the difference between Ykkösliiga and Ykkönen?
I think it's just strange. It's like very strange to try explain the difference to some people. At least from time to time, still get into conversations with people, and if we talk about football below the Veikkausliiga, somebody asks me, "Are they playing in Ykkönen?" I'm like, "Yes, but it's
Yes, but
it's not the second tier," and so on. It's very strange, but yeah, I don't know. if it's a good thing or a bad thing, I've said this previously. My preference would be that Veikkausliiga would be a league of 16 teams.
Okay. Yeah.
So we would get 30 matches, like everybody playing each other twice, like the real league. They can do it in Sweden. I think in Norway they might do similar, but at least in Sweden, the top tier Allsvenskan they do with 16 teams. So is there enough quality teams with the licensing and stadium requirements, infrastructure requirements, and so forth? I don't really know because this season KTP and Haka got relegated, Lahti and TPS got promoted to the Veikkausliiga. I think those teams, if you count Haka and KTP, they could be Veikkausliiga teams. So there you have 14 Veikkausliiga teams. Where do you think you're going to get the two to make it 16? Uh, if you take a look at the clubs playing in the Ykkösliiga, disregarding the academy teams such as Klubi 04 and SJK's academy, so the clubs that remain, they don't really have what it takes to play in the top tier. But should that be a problem, or should that be an opportunity for them to aspire to a higher level, maybe get the broadcasting money that's increased significantly in Finnish football and in Veikkausliiga in particular? The betting monopoly is opening in a year or two. Maybe it brings a new flow of sponsorships and such from the betting companies. You can like it or not, but it would bring a whole new revenue to the league. So maybe
There
that would
are.
be. That's my dream to have like the bigger Veikkaus league, but I don't think that's ever going to happen.
I mean, you mentioned those two clubs, but there are some traditional big old clubs
Yes.
that I mean they're financially not in the position to do anything. I'm thinking of clubs like Mupa and Honka and even Hoyevko, but they've all had their financial problems and dropped away.
Yeah, maybe JJK from Jyväskylä. That
Rovaniemi
yeah. They're
as names. I mean, you know,
but those clubs are deep in the mud,
yeah, they are. Yeah.
unfortunately. So I would love one of those clubs to be at such a healthy position that they could like realistically plan on getting promoted towards the Veikkausliiga. But at the moment, it's not just looking like that. Maybe it's a wider issue for the society and whatnot. But maybe we're getting a bit sidetracked here.
Yeah, well, maybe we are, but I think the the league structure, it's something that we're going to hear from Keke in a minute. Um, the league structure gave us this, I think, incredible Mestaruussarja this year, where we had five teams that really were pushing for the top, and Gnistan that were just like hacking at their legs, just causing trouble. And I don't know, it was the most involved I've felt in that Mestaruussarja before because it was 10 games, not five. Because everyone was playing each other twice and stealing points off each other. And I like that format. I don't disagree with you, Rasmus, about having more teams and a bit more variety of who you play against. But also I did like that end of season bit as well.
Yeah, it was quite chaotic in the best possible
Yeah.
way, and sort of p people from outside of Finland, whether it was fans of the game of football or media, were taking an interest in what was going on in Finnish football and club Finnish football, which is quite rare for that to happen. You could you could just go on social media and you could find, yeah, people tweeting about, okay, yeah, there's this story in Sweden, there's this story in Norway, but also in Finland and other European countries as well, where there was like a story, whether it was to do with a team getting promoted or a team winning the league. So even though, yeah, I didn't enjoy it because I didn't see a single win for Huuhkajat, I can put my neutral hat on and say it was definitely a good thing for Finnish football and the Veikkausliiga as a whole.
Yeah, it was quite spectacular that the position we left started the championship round after the so-called regular season when everybody had played against each other twice. The top five was within 5 points, and Huuhkajat was third level on points and above on goal difference to KuPS in fourth, who eventually went on to be the champions. Second season in a row, of course, but yeah, that's quite incredible that 5 teams can be within 5 points when there's still 10 matches to go, and each of them play against each other twice in that period. So yeah, it's not traditional, perhaps, but I think it was quite exciting, and there was lots going on in the latter stages.
Let's park that there. Let's hear from Keke and Mark H, who are mostly talking. Keke will talk a little bit about the Veikkausliiga title race, but then they're mostly reflecting on what's been going on for the Huuhkajat this year.
So 2025 is drawing to a close. It's time to reflect on the year, the Jalkapallo year that's just passed, and think about our highlights and maybe a few lows as well. Personally, my highlight of the year was probably the first away trip of the campaign, my trip to Malta away. Obviously, we were expecting a bit more of a result at the start of the Jacob Friis era. Come away with a 1-0, but yeah, the trip itself was fantastic. Back in March, great people always on those away trips. A few beers, some lovely scenery, which never let the football spoil the football trip, I suppose. But yeah, also another highlight for this year is the Veikkausliiga title race. Almost going down to the last few games of the season, which was, for me, kept it interesting, kept it exciting. Thought we might see an alternative champion, one we hadn't seen for a little while, but didn't quite pan out like that. But yeah, it remained exciting to the last. Lows of the year. Wow. I mean, back to Malta again. That final international of the campaign, losing at home to Malta. That's got to be a bit of a low point for everyone who follows the Huuhkajat. Obviously today we've had the announcement that Joona Toivio is retiring from football, and it just, along with Teemu Pukki calling it a day with the national team, it just makes me reflect back to the Heidi days of qualifying for Euro 2020 and how we've transitioned. We talk about that a lot on the Finnish Football Show, how the team has transitioned, and not quite sure we're quite there yet. So all these retirements and are sort of tinged with a little bit of sadness, because it really does shut the door on an era. But yeah, we can only look forward. Next year's a new year. Jacob Friis is here for the foreseeable future, so we've got to do our best, get behind him, get behind the team, and see where it takes us. But yeah, that's my quick rundown of my Jalkapallo year 2025. Cheers, guys.
Okay. Highlights, lowlights are pretty tough this season. I think, at least for the Huuhkajat, there's been a lot more low points than high points. I have to say that, I wasn't really sure about Jolle moving clubs last year, but it's been really nice to see him banging the goals back in Serie B. So I'm really happy, I think, for how Jolle has kept his goal scoring form going. The low light has got to be the The defeat at home to Malta, that's probably one of the worst games of football I've seen in a long time. Brings back some bad memories from managers of Huuhkajat past. Let's hope that 2026 will be different. You guys can talk about what differences need to come, particularly for the Huuhkajat. But yeah, it's been a tough old year for Finnish football. Hoping next one will be a lot better.
Okay, yeah. So Mark mentioned there about Joel Pohjanpalo scoring goals. He also let us know afterwards that he would like Benjamin Chelman scoring 9 in 15 for Hanover to be mentioned as well. So consider that done, Mark. Um, how are we feeling about the Huuhkajat year? I mean, it's easy to say, hold your head in your hands and stop recording, but Keke's highlight was the away trip to Malta because because it was a holiday more than the football. Um, Both of them said the low light was losing at home to Malta. But what about you guys?
Well, yeah, I mean, I think we definitely, maybe on the last pod or pod before that, we reflected on our thoughts and feelings on the Huuhkajat and maybe the next qualification period and our hopes are around that. So I won't repeat like too
Mm,
much, but I think what is exciting is there are a core group of younger players that are worth getting excited about. That yeah, we've touched on previously, but I also think quite a few of these younger players and also some of the more experienced players as well, like Chalman, of course Jolle as well, but Nathan Skuta, for example, like he's doing incredible stuff in the second Bundesliga. So I think when you see that these players are actually playing at a good level or they're playing for good clubs in decent European leagues, I think that's got to be something to enjoy. And yeah, I mean, you can never assume in football, but you can hope that them playing at a decent level will only translate positively into the Huuhkajat and yeah, future qualification rounds because yeah, the last couple, whether it was the World Cup qualifying rounds that we've had this year or the previous Nations Leagues have been, uh, in a word, dreadful. So, yeah, I think, of course, and we shouldn't dismiss that either. But I think if we can just focus on like maybe these younger players, there's definitely hope. I think for the future.
Yeah, I think I said this earlier that I don't quite get all the fuss that's being made of
You've been much
the
more positive about it. That's true.
yeah, because I just don't get how things are that bad. We are obviously in some sort of transition when it comes to the generation of players, and the problem we've had for at least a decade that there's not that many good Finnish players playing in decent leagues, decent teams. There's not been a Finnish player played a minute of Premier League football in 10 years since Jussi Jääskeläinen retired, uh, and I don't remember if he went somewhere from West Ham, but yeah, he's the last Finn to play in the Premier League. There was a time in history we had a whole starting 11 of players playing in the
Mm.
Premier League,
Oh, you
and
had Teemu Pukki as well, of course.
yes, but yeah, that was like a singular event in like years of horrid times, like
Yeah, no, that's
Pukki
fair. That's fair.
Pukki doing well for a couple of seasons in a row, or like no, to be that's a bit harsh on him. He did well few seasons in a row at least in Norwich and decently in the MLS and even in Denmark before that. But yeah, uh, I'm just trying to say there was a time we had players in the top five European leagues like constantly, and we still couldn't get anywhere near a tournament. And so, how are we going to do it with guys playing in the MLS, playing in Cyprus, uh, in Eastern Europe, in the Nordic countries, and so on? Our players just aren't that good at the moment. So, it's hard for any coach to achieve good results, and there's obviously been a bit of a pressure to play some sort of standard of football or some sort of style of football. Even Markku Kanerva was faced with that challenge after doing tremendously well, getting Finland into the European Championships for the first time in our history. After that, people wanted to see Finland play more exciting football and stuff like that. I think even Kanerva and his staff tried, and Friis was like faced with the task of continuing that work, like trying to create a playing style of football. I think all of that is mostly nonsense when it comes to Finland in the international competitions. Like it doesn't matter what style we play, we just have to play for the result. Whatever way is successful of us getting the results, I'm sure Finnish people could get behind it. So I don't quite get how it's been like disastrously bad for Jacob Friis and Huuhkajat. So I'm not too worried, and I have to agree with Ali that it's wonderful that we are now getting the younger players into better leagues, better teams. Some of them even might have a chance to really fast track their development. For example, Matias Siltanen just moved from the Finnish champions KuPS last season to Djurgården in Sweden. They were in the Conference League semifinals. They were doing really well when he joined them. He was a regular starter throughout the season, and now he's rumored to move on to maybe a side in the Bundesliga or something. There's a few guys in the second Bundesliga doing really well. As Ali mentioned, Nathan Skytta, he's a guy from Tampere and Ilves Academy prodigy. So I would love to see him maybe get like a quick move in maybe in the January window, because if you're scoring goals at that pace that Skytta is currently doing, as well as Benjamin Chelman, by the way, they might even get a move to a side in the top Bundesliga in Germany. Or they can stay and fight for promotion. That would be okay as well. But yeah, it's looking better, and I think the football Huuhkajat has played has looked a bit better at times, even though the results haven't been perfect. But they haven't been that bad neither.
Ali, you had your hand up a little while ago.
Yeah, I did, but Rada kind of covered what I was going to say, but I just wanted, I guess, to touch on, yeah, like what is the Finnish style of play? Like, I think we always get bogged down in, oh, but it's not the, so and so way, the Spanish way, the German way of play. I agree. I don't think we need to cry out or demand a particular way of playing football at the national level. It can just be, can we put together a team that can compete, not hopefully win, of course win, and when you lose games to Malta, that is frustrating and it's really annoying. It's a touch embarrassing as well. But I think if we want to qualify for future European Championships or World Cups, and there are more opportunities now, um, like there are more places. I mean, FIFA and UEFA just keep adding more spots so that Curacao and whoever can qualify for the World Cup. So, but that can only benefit Finland if there are going to be more spaces opening up.
So you're not looking forward to Cristiano Ronaldo scoring 6 against New Caledonia?
Well, I guess now that he's not banned, I suppose, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But yeah, I think on one hand it has been a frustrating time to be following the Huuhkajat, but I think that there really shouldn't be any pressure on a particular style or playing it out from the back or whatever. Just try to win, lads. Try and win.
Yeah, I think it's the development of like modern football. Football always is in development and moving on. Everything has been done before, and all of it's just recycles. I think the trend is now every team tries to be good at everything. You have to be good at passing the ball out from the back. Sometimes you have to go long. Sometimes you have to press high. Sometimes you have to sit in the middle block. Sometimes you have to defend low. Every team has to be able to do all of these things up to a certain standard. Otherwise, you're not just going to win matches at in competitive like world class football, international football. So that's just how it is. We're going to need to be better with the ball against teams that we are maybe expected to beat, or at least be on par with, and against teams that are clearly better than us, we have to produce a different type of plan. That's just as how football goes. I don't think that's like rocket science. And when you have a squad that Finland has in terms of the players, you're just going to be you're going to have to be really creative in very many matches if we're going to get any sort of results.
Yeah, and I think while we're looking at talk about those new players coming through, I can't let a whole podcast go by without mentioning my Huuhkajat highlight, which was me discovering Adam Mahiev at the under 21 Euros and him then breaking into the team, and that lovely goal. He scored his first international goal for the first team, and that was a nice moment. Um, and I'm looking forward to the. You can see now that the team could well be built around him at the middle of the midfield for quite a few years to come. All
Yeah,
right.
he's been
So
doing okay in Germany as well. Yeah.
yeah, and I think I mentioned this on another show, but it's interesting to see like the players that were playing in the Euro under 21s are now coming into the main squad. Um, didn't know any of the names. And when I was sort of flicking through FOTMob while watching the game, it's like, oh yeah, he moved from, you know, Hoyukor's academy when he was 16, or he moved from Ilves when he was 17. It's like, well, how are we going to see these players? They don't get much. They don't get into their first teams much for us to be able to see them. Then they go overseas. Um, so it's nice to see that there is some talent. There's some young
Yeah,
talent out there.
like, and some of them leave well before they even play the first team match or even the second team match.
Mm.
Like one particular lad being Juho Lähteenmäki, who's had a few appearances for Huuhkajat
Mm.
recently, and I think I saw him first time in an under 16s national tournament in Finland. He was playing for Ilves, must have been under 16 side of
Ilves
some.
Päiväkoti or something.
Yeah, yeah. I think that was back in 2021. He was one of the standout players in that tournament. One other was a guy Ali might be familiar with, David Eze of HJK. That was the first time I saw those two in action. They actually played against each other in one match in that tournament, and not long after that, Lähteenmäki left Ilves for FC Nordsjælland in Denmark, and he spent a few years in the academy, and then he was, I think, at the start of last season, he was suddenly brought up into the first team to be a starting fullback, having been a winger his whole youth career, and now he's in his second season and his second contract extension at Nordsjælland. So he's playing regular first team football in Denmark, and he's like 18 years old, and now he's made his Huuhkajat debut. So those types of stories are absolutely lovely, though rare.
All right. Thank you, gents. Ali, this was a good idea. It's a fresh look at recent nostalgia or something like that. So, and I also like the idea of getting together in the new year and talking about how worried we are about the new season. I can see a theme there. But by then we'll have a bit of an idea of what our new um, coaches and managers are bringing to the clubs and what the recruitment has looked like for various clubs, and then we can start getting excited about the next Veikkausliiga season.
Yeah,
It's only 5 months away.
yeah, and obviously maybe highlights of the year from national team point of view must be the Pikku Huuhkajat, the under-21s national team, making the tournament, beating Norway in the playoff round, and of course Helmarit doing decently well in the European Championships. So obvious highlights there as well.
As Seppo was talking about, he was representing the Finnish football show. I mean, not officially, but he was our man on the ground at those tournaments, wasn't it? It was nice to see his pictures coming back from there. All right, gents. Rasmus, thanks for joining us today. It's
Cheers.
always a pleasure. And we've had a happy Christmas, but have a great new year, and we'll speak again in 2026. And same to Ali. Ali, thanks for, as I said, thanks for the idea, and we'll see you next year for a bit more Finnish football show fun.
Absolutely, yeah. Bring on 2026.
And I managed to last the entire show with this thing on my head, so well done me. I can take it off
Yeah.
now. This steam coming off.
Yeah.
All right, listener. Thank
yeah.
you for joining us as well. And until the next episode of the Finnish Football Show, goodbye.
My Merry Christmas, everybody. And my final note would be to you, Mark. You live in Seinäjoki, so I'm going to tell you, normal people don't eat maksalaatikko at Christmas dinner.
Yes, they do. You've been listening to the Finnish Football Show. You can find us online at finishfootballshow.com. Remember to subscribe to the show wherever you're listening or watching. You can follow the Finnish Football Show page and group on Facebook and also on Instagram. Escape to Suomi on Twitter is now Finnish Football Show on X. And you will find us on Blue Sky at Finnish Football Pod. See the links in the episode description, along with the links to the Finnish Football Show merch shirts.